What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Hellbound Garage. And if you can't tell, I just got back from the metal shop for the next phase of the flatbed build for the Toyota Tundra. I got it unloaded, so let me show you a little bit better of what we picked up today and then explain what we're actually going to be doing. We picked up some more square, which is the same as the rest of the flatbed. We picked up 2 long lengths of angle, and then we picked up this flat sheet here. Because today we are focusing on the rear tail section of the flatbed, as well as we are going to start welding in the mounting for the actual flat metal that will be the quote-unquote bed portion of. Because the bed is already upside down, focusing on the tail section frame is going to be the first priority. I thought about the design for the rear tail section for quite a while. I actually have like drawings, and then because I have access to it and needed to figure out the angles, I threw my design onto a computer, rendered it that way, found out the angles, and then because of what the metal shop actually had in stock, I had to then readjust my design a little bit more. But let's get a few of the pieces cut out, and then you'll see what I came up with as the rear tail section design. Alright, I jumped ahead a little bit because I was having some problems getting everything like square and level, but let me show you my whole back panel idea, and here it is. This is what I decided with. Now you'll know there's little fingers off the side there that I still have to cut off, and then I'll box in all the open ends, but overall, there it is. I didn't want to have a square end, and I didn't want to have a completely triangular end, so I had to find a good mix in between, and this is what I came up with. You will notice that there is some gaps. This was a very weird angle cut with the width of the center. So I originally had it designed for 6.5, which is the standard size license plate for at least the United States. But when I went to the metal shop, all they had was 7-inch. So I had to fix my measurements a little bit. And then, of course, because of the cutting tools that I have here, there's a little bit of give and everything. So I ended up with a little bit of play on the ends of each angle, and it just kind of led to some gaps. I filled in a lot worse, and it was still super strong, so I'm not worried about the gaps. If it was TIG, maybe, but this is MIG, and MIG you can fill a whole lot of space with some wire and still make it strong. But anyways, I'm gonna get this all welded up, and then we'll move on to the next part.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right, and see life do what you want. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right, and
downside to using a little bottle that I borrowed from my dad. I ran out of gas, so I need to go get some gas, and we will continue filming after. Well, I ended up running out of weld wire after running out of welding gas, or shielding gas. So I ended up putting in another small roll of weld wire. I'm trying to use the small rolls because I have a bunch of those from my old welder. Now that I have a welding machine that will take the bigger rolls, I'm just trying to burn through all my little stuff before that. Anyways, I went ahead and actually got this flipped over. I had my dad over at the house for a minute, helping me with some other things, so he helped me get this flipped over, and then I finished the weld along the entire bottom all the way over. So that pretty much takes care of the welding on this section. So the next thing on the agenda is turning this metal, or this angle iron, into brackets for over there. So this seems like a good finger snap moment. Let me cut these brackets and I'll show you more of what I mean. Alright, I've got all my brackets cut. Let me grab one of these and show you what's gonna happen here. So these brackets go in here. Well, I've got to fit them because there's a little bit of gap, or a little bit of tight spacing, but anyways, they go in here, and that is because of this lip right here, because I welded these outside beams an 1/8 inch above on both sides so that it would lay flat on the crossbars, so that the surface would be flush when the sheet of steel is mounted onto the frame. So, but the problem is then there's nothing to hold the metal on the outside edge. Originally, I had planned on welding the sheet steel to the frame, and that way there wouldn't be any issues with mounting. But the more I thought about it, the more I want to do other things after the base flatbed is complete. Things like the fender guards or fender wells that I need to create. I want to make a special one that I can't seem to find, at least stateside. And then I like the idea of the toolboxes that a lot of these have, so I want to put those on there, but I got to get the flatbed done and mounted first, and then I can do those toolboxes. But removing the sheet steel will make that easier to mount to the frame after that's done. So that's one reason. The other thing is, if I damage the sheet steel, then how am I gonna repair it? You know, in the bed, the only thing you can do is cut it out with a grinder and weld in new metal. I don't want to have to do that with this. So doing some kind of bolt, like countersunk bolt, is the way that I'm going to take care of that. But I'm going to get these brackets welded in place, and I'll see you after. We got all of the brackets welded in place. Let me show you real quick. So those brackets are welded all the way along the sides, up on the top, and that side over there. So everything is welded in nice and tight. The Harbor Freight or the Bauer bandsaw worked out really well. I've used it on a couple of projects, but it's held up really well, and I'm still on the original blade that I bought, and so far I've cut most of the metal that's here, so held up really well. Same with my OmniPro, held up really well. I'm sure if I was a more experienced welder, my welds would look even better because it's a really good welder considering the power that's going to the outlets in my garage that are feeding this right now. I'm not even sure how it's got the penetration that it has, and yes, it's gotten it. Anyways, the one thing that I can complain about or have to complain about is that guy right there, that itty bitty weld bottle. That thing has now run out twice since I've started putting this thing together. Don't ever buy a 20-pound bottle if you're going to do anything any remotely this size. The brackets I got welded on the top and ran out of gas. I ran out already, so I now have to go back to the weld shop again to fill the bottle. I'm shopping around looking at some bottles, but new bottles are $500-600, somewhere in that range. So it's just one of those things that if I can find a used one, then I can trade it in, get a way better value, and not have to go near as often. But you know, you live and you learn. Anyways, I want to do one more thing in this video, and that is these guys. The light setup for my turn signals, my reverse, and my license plate. So you can I have it laid out kind of how it's going to be. Of course, this isn't the same amount of space, and I haven't figured out the measuring or the distances between this space and the lights. So I got to figure that out real quick, and we'll get those installed. All right, look, we've got lights. You can kind of tell how these are angled off to the side over here. I figured nobody wanted to watch me measure and drill some holes and put some rib nuts in place, so I went ahead and did it. I did run into two problems. They're both pretty minor. One is the rib nuts that I wanted to use for my fog lights, which, let's see if we can get in here. These guys here that I have marked out, I ran out of them. I didn't actually have all of them, so I will need to order some more before I can get the fog lights / reverse lights mounted. The other thing is also with the fog lights. As you notice, there was a square hole, or there's a square, but it's not a hole, and that is because my plasma cutter tends to trip the breaker even when it's directly plugged into my current outlets in my garage, and that's just due to the electrical and how it's run to the garage, not the tool itself. So when I move the flatbed closer to the garage, then I can cut the holes and get those mounted. But until then, they're gonna stay like this. But overall, that's pretty much how it's gonna look. I like this angle to the lights. It's pretty nice. So that is all I'm gonna do for this video. Between now and the next one, I'll get some rib nuts, of course. I also plan to grind down all the welds on the brackets to get those as flush as I can, because that way the top piece will fit better. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is get a bigger weld tank. Like, I've been searching, it's the next day at this point, since I ran out of gas, and I've been looking. I was shopping last night, and I have some stuff lined up for the next few days that I'm going to go look at and possibly buy bigger tanks. That way I can go get more gas and not have to worry about running out so soon. Oh, and the other thing is I'm going to try and get these holes all capped off before the next video also. So there's a few things that I want to do before the next one, just like everything else. So I think that's going to do it for this video for the meantime. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.